Welcome to Coach's Corner, everybody. Thanks for watching the show. I'm your host, Coach Tripp, along with my good buddy, Coach Mark Hobley.
Peace.
Coach Hobbs, we got a special guest. That's right, Josh Sitton, Super Bowl champ, 4-time Pro Bowler for the Green Bay Packers, Catholic alum. Josh, thanks for joining the show today.
Absolutely, guys. Thank y'all for having me, man. I appreciate it.
Man, we're gonna have a blast. Let's start at the beginning. We'll talk about Coach O'Leary for y'all out there that don't know. He was my high school coach and he was Josh's college coach. So we'll talk a lot about George in a few minutes. But Josh, let's start from the beginning, man. You were born in Jacksonville. When did your family move to Pensacola?
I was about one. My parents were in the Navy, and they were stationed in Jacksonville, and they got stationed in Pensacola. It was actually my mom's second time being stationed in Pensacola, and I was fortunate that she decided to retire from the Navy in like 92, so we didn't have to move anymore after that. So I got when you look back at all the how things line up, I was blessed to be able to be in one spot for my entire life growing up. So that was definitely a blessing.
Man, talk about growing up here in Pensacola and your boys. What sports did you play? Talk about your mom and dad and your siblings.
Yeah, so I like I said, I moved here when I was one, and like most pro athletes, I played every sport that I could get my hands on. I started with soccer and t-ball. Ended up playing basketball, tried to do track, tried to do anything. I didn't start playing football until I was about 12. So seventh grade, I started getting a little chunky, and I was insecure taking my shirt off at soccer practice for shirts and skins. So I found a sport that they wouldn't allow you to take a shirt off. So I started playing football. But yeah, I've got like I said, my parents are they were in the Navy. I've got an older brother and older sister, and I was lucky to have them, and they kind of helped guide me through my youth, and they did all the stupid things first. So my mom let me get away with more as the youngest child.
I know how it is, man. Hey, I got the youngest brother theory. I'm the youngest of 4 boys. And I just tell everybody I would have never made it in the league or Bama if it wasn't for my older brothers. Man, pounding on you, no mercy on you. That always helps to play with bigger, faster, stronger guys, right? Or girls.
Oh yeah. I mean, my brother did absolutely everything he could to beat me, and anything we did, he would cheat, lie, and steal and anything, do anything possible to beat me. So
my older brother was the same thing, man. No blood, no foul, and even when there was blood, it was my fault. It's just older brothers and older sisters are great. All right, let's talk about you were actually the one that started the rise actually in the early 2000s at Catholic. You guys had some good teams there and went to the playoffs. And talk about your high school career at Catholic High.
Yeah, so I mean, Catholic hadn't done a whole lot in football when I got there for some time, and when I got there it was Coach Keith Hinesley who played college ball, and then Coach Mike Smith came in at the end of my sophomore year, who was the 1991 Pensacola Athlete of the Year, and went on to play baseball and football at Georgia Tech.
For O'Leary, for Coach O'Leary.
For Coach O'Leary, yep, exactly. So we didn't do much my first year or two, and then my junior year we ended up winning the district for the first time in I don't know 10 or 20 years, I believe it was. So that was a very big deal. We went to the playoffs, we went to the second round, which is a really big deal. My senior year we ended up not making the playoffs, missed it by one game. I still think the refs cheated us in Chipley, but that's probably for another debate.
It's another story.
Yeah, that place was rough to play. But then the year I left is when you guys went to the
state championship game.
State championship, yeah.
Then it's Katie bar the door. They've been good ever since, man. I hated to leave there, but hey, all right. So let's talk about how Coach O'Leary. I'm telling you, man, there's certain coaches, Josh, that have a knack for spotting talent. Coach Bryant, my college coach, Jimmy Johnson, the great Cowboys and Miami coach, George O'Leary had an eye for talent. Is it true that Coach O'Leary was one of the very few Division I big schools to offer you?
Yeah, so I was getting recruited heavily by the SEC and a lot of schools, a couple schools out west throughout my sophomore and junior year, and then a lot of the bigger schools just dropped off, and things just kind of fell by the wayside. I ended up being offered by UCF, UAB, Nicholls State, and then after I accepted my offer to UCF, Auburn came back in the picture and tried to get me. So they were down to two guys, and I think it was down to me and what's his name from Woodham, offensive lineman, my same year.
Oh wow!
But I ended up telling them no. I'd already committed to UCF, and I wanted to play defensive line. I was going to UCF. I was going to UCF to play D line. So that was one of the big reasons that I went to UCF. They were the only team that recruited me as a D lineman.
Wow. I'm going to actually start a segment. We'll let everybody know on my show coming up in July, and they're going to have Bill Pendock as one of our hosts for the show. He spent 7 years on the D line with George O'Leary. Josh,
really?
3 in high school, 4 at Syracuse. Oh. And Coach O'Leary, at least you didn't play D line and have him for a D line coach. When he was the head coach, I probably that was his baby, the D line, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. That's what he his few years in the NFL, he was the defensive line coach. So hold on, you had O'Leary for high school and then Bryant for college. Right. How did you make it through that?
Oh my God, I don't know. To this day, I have no idea how I made it through those. Those were the toughest coaches. That was going to be one of my questions for you. When I was coaching at Catholic, Coach Greg Seibert used to say I'd tell more O'Leary stories than I did Coach Bryant stories. He was brutal, man. I mean, he was a jerk. He was crazy, man. We tell stories on my show with Pendock, and some more I'm sure will be coming up here in the future. But I got Coach Bryant when he was a little bit older and mellowed a little bit, but not he didn't slow down any. Doesn't mean that he was any softer, but I don't know how it made it through. Let's talk about your years at UCF. Those were turning point years too. George turned our high school program around. We were a loser for many years, and I think we lost one game my last 2 years before he went to Syracuse. He's always been a winner. Talk about UCF and turning it around, because now they're in a conference, and I remember UCF beating Baylor in a BCS game was a big turning point for UCF.
Yeah. So I George got there in December of 2003, and so he didn't start recruiting me until way late in the process. Most guys are already committed or know where they're going by then. So they were late to start recruiting me. They were obviously late to start recruiting the whole class. But I ended up, signing with UCF in February, and boy, I tell you, George, his saying was he always wanted the ants and get rid of all the cockroaches, and he sure as hell got rid of all the cockroaches my freshman year. I mean, it was.
I was a little worried about you, man, going down there. You went to school with my daughter and some friends, and I'm like, I told everybody Josh will either be back home real quick, or he's gonna be a great player. One of the two, man. That's what I was saying.
I was this close to coming home many times.
Me too.
By my decision or coaches, many times. Yeah, it was rough.
It was brutal, wasn't it? My buddy from Syracuse told me George would go up there in 28-degree weather, 29-degree weather, go water the field and make them go put shorts and T-shirts on and do bear crawls up and down the field.
Oh yeah,
just to make you tougher.
Yeah, we had many experiences like that. I mean, like I said, my whole freshman year, his only goal was to get rid of the people that didn't want to be there. And I think it was from the time he got there until the end of my freshman year, I want to say it was 50-something guys that ended up leaving. So I mean, we had a really thin roster my second year, but that first year we went 0-11. He didn't win a game, and you can imagine how George felt about that.
He must have been just miserable to live with.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It was bad. It was rough.
So how'd you guys turn it around? I mean, what the assistant coaches, did he hire good assistants or what?
Yeah, we had great assistant coaches. But I mean, he had a way of getting rid of the people that wouldn't fight through stuff,
right?
And choosing people that were willing to go put in the work every day and start seeing the vision. And you could start seeing that after our freshman year, and you start seeing everything kind of come together. Like in the spring game just felt different. You know, it felt like we had a different core group of guys that cared and really wanted to win. And then we went on to win the east side of the conference. That next year we went from the MAC to Conference USA and won the east side of that conference, and went to the first bowl game ever in school history.
Oh my gosh!
Won the most games in school history, and it was a pretty awesome year.
Holy cow! So you guys just got better. Your senior year, did after coach has been there a while and the culture's changed and guys are going the extra mile because there's no traffic jams on the road to the extra mile. What did you think going into your senior year? Were you thinking pro? You got a chance to be pro. Did you have any talks with O'Leary or to talk a little bit about your senior year?
We never really talked about that. Not until I was done with my senior year did me and George sit down and have a conversation about that.
Oh wow.
He was very behind the scenes. He was always pushing for me with the scouts and the teams and the GMs, but never did he once sit me down and talk to me about that. Not until we were done. It was always a goal of mine throughout my career, but I was pretty realistic with where I was and my talent level and whatever. So I didn't think I really had a shot, I didn't think I had a shot until my first day in pads and training camp, my first year in the NFL. So like that's, I would tell my wife, my girlfriend at the time, I've got no shot. Like, don't be counting on this. Like, this isn't going to happen. Like, it's a 1 in a million thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, we went through senior year. We had a little bit of a down year my junior year, and then set tons of records my senior year. Our running back Kevin Smith almost broke Barry Sanders' rushing record. We won 10 games. We went to a big bowl game. We went to the Liberty Bowl. So as a team, we had a really big year.
Yeah.
I had a great year. I ended up getting a phone call from John Dorsey, who has been a GM in the league. He was a scout with Green Bay at the time, and he basically forced me to go to the Hula Bowl, the Hawaii Bowl, the Hula Bowl All-Star game, and he told me, he's like, look, you're not getting invited to the Senior Bowl. And I was like, all right, well, I'll go out there. So I ended up getting getting a lot of show out there, and was able to put myself out there and show some scouts what I could do. And then I had a great pro day, and that was the first day that I ever thought, like, oh wow, I could actually really get drafted. Like, my agent called me, he was like, hey, look, like, don't talk about it, but I think anywhere from round 3 to round 6. And that was the first day that I ever thought, oh gosh, I could actually get drafted. Because I was looking at myself, I saw myself against these other guys out at this All-Star game. And then I saw my numbers compared to all the guys that were at the combine.
You can hang.
And I thought, okay, I actually have a chance to get on a roster.
Yep.
But yeah, that was that first day. It was
so what was that call like from the Packers? Because I don't know. I've always been a big Packers fan, goes back to Don Hudson and Bart Starr, and even my good buddy Kent Johnson was a longtime strength coach out there. Rich Wingo I had on the show a couple of weeks ago, was a linebacker for the Packers. I love Vince Lombardi. I've read a lot of books on Coach Lombardi. Man, what is it like to play for the Packers? Come on, man. The stadium, and then your rookie year, you win in the Super Bowl. I take it from getting picked. What was the call like, and what was training camp like? Was that Aaron Rodgers' first year, right?
Yeah,
rookie year.
So draft day back then, it was 3 days. So I was a day 3 pick. So it's been a long couple days. It's stressful. My wife could just see it on my face. I'm like sick of this. Like, I'm just waiting to get this over with. I was ready to get that phone call and have a beer and friggin' celebrate.
Yeah.
Obviously getting the phone call was amazing. Cool seeing my name across the board. Didn't know what to expect with Green Bay. I had been on a visit there, but I still didn't even know where the hell it was really. Hadn't ever really traveled in the cold, except for a couple games. But I get to training camp and go through, off season, all that. Get to training camp. And like I said, my first time I ever really thought I could make it was the first day of pads. And we had one-on-ones, and I beat 5-6 guys in a row. And I was like, okay, I got a shot at this. But yeah, it was Aaron Rodgers' first year starting, which was insane. Training camp in Green Bay is kind of crazy anyway. There's fans everywhere. There's 4,000, 5,000, 6,000 fans everywhere. Well, this year there was even more because of the Favre Aaron transition.
Yeah.
So there's 10,000 fans at practice, all booing my quarterback. Because they wanted Favre still there.
Oh yeah. Oh my gosh!
I'm riding a bike to practice, and these guys are yelling at my quarterback, and I'm like, "Where the hell am I?" I'm like, "What is this? I don't understand. Like, this is our starting quarterback." Like, and all that quickly went away after Aaron's first game, and he threw like 3 or 4 touchdowns, and everybody's like, "Okay, he can be pretty good." But playing at Lambeau and in Green Bay is. You don't think about it when you're going through it, but it's so unbelievably special. The fans are, I don't think there could be better fans in the world. It's the only thing in Green Bay. It's just, you're in the middle of a neighborhood, and then boom, there's a stadium there, and it's like, oh, what the hell? So, I mean, the fans are unbelievable. The organization is unbelievable. Being able to walk the halls of all this greatness, and they make sure you see all the greatness and the championships. And from day one, mission is win a championship, and that's all that mattered. And we knew that from day one.
That's all that matters, man. We were lucky. It's all that mattered to O'Leary. When I got to Bama, they just won back-to-back national titles, and then the varsity came out, and I went, "Holy shit, what am I doing here?" It's just, the expectations and the level is so high. Josh, why are I got my theories, but why are offensive linemen like the closest position group on the team? Because they're like work right next to each other, literally.
Well, I don't know. It's the only room that has 10, 11, 12 guys in it. And it's really the only room that you have to work hand in hand with 4 other people at any given time. You know, a receiver can go run his route by himself. A quarterback's, doing his thing. Tight ends, blocking or running his route. From the left tackle all the way to the right tackle, pretty much every play, you've all got to be on the same page, and you got to be doing the same thing and working towards the same goal on that play. So you've got to have a higher level of camaraderie on the offensive line, just because of the nature of having 5 guys working together.
Yeah, at Alabama, the offensive line were the tightest group. They're also the smartest group. I think the offensive line, after the quarterback, has to be the smartest position on the field after the QB. Talk about the jump from high school to college and college to pros. Because for me, high school to college was huge. College to pro wasn't that big a jump. Talk about your transition and that dynamic.
Yeah, for me, I think the level from college to pro was easier. I mean, harder, but I think the transition from college to pro is almost easier because you're going from being a student athlete to solely focusing on football as a pro. So, I mean, you got practice, meetings, workouts, like that's it.
Film and 5 hours a day.
Yeah, and that's all you got to focus on. So, I mean, and coming from a coach like George O'Leary, like practice in the NFL was a piece of cake compared to practicing for George. So, I mean, I got there and was like laughing at how many plays we had when I get to training camp. I'm like, I'm used to doing like 45 plays in a row, throwing up and doing up downs after. And I get here and I'm like doing 3 plays in a row. I'm like, God, this is so easy.
Yeah, I know, man. I had the same experience going from college to pro. Perkins was my pro coach, so he wasn't any lightweight. But yeah, there's a lot of guys, and there's a lot of guys that talk about that from Alabama too in the last 20 years. How practice is much easier in the pros than it is in college. All right, so we talked about, I'm biased. I think the DB is the most athletic position on the field. Now, today's offensive linemen, who do you still follow? The Eagles, of course, had great offensive line the last couple of years. But do you still watch much football, and you pay attention to like I'm watching a game, I'm watching the DBs. Are you watching the offensive line?
Yeah, I mean, when I'm watching with my buddies, I'm like commenting on the combo block, and they're like, "What are you talking about?" So yeah, when I'm watching football, I'm watching the line first, then I go find where the ball is. And my favorite thing to do is kind of see what the O-line is doing and the quarterback is doing, and trying to guess what play is coming just based on that. And I'm pretty good at deciphering that. You can tell where they're pointing and what down it is and this and that, and that's pretty fun. But I don't watch as much football as I used to. I've got 3 young kids, so it's become harder and harder to.
Yeah.
Hey, Dad, we want to go to the park, and we want to do this. We want to go swimming, this, that. So it gets to be a little bit harder. I would watch 12 hours straight on Sunday, and every Monday night game, every Thursday night game, and it didn't matter. I wouldn't miss anything. But I've gotten away from it a little bit, but still love to watch it. Still love to break down the offensive line.
But talk about some of your buddies you miss, man, that you played next to for years and years. Back Terry, talk about some of those guys that you guys went to war with. You guys played hurt. You guys won a Super Bowl. Talk about your first year winning the Super Bowl, and you probably thought you'd be back. Did guys tell you be careful, what you wish for, or it's not that easy? Your rookie year. Talk about that year, Josh.
So it was actually my third year. It was 2010 that we won the Super Bowl. But I definitely had that thought. I was like, wow, this is gonna be easy. We made the playoffs my second year, going to Super Bowl run my third year. Yeah. And I'm like, all right, we got the best quarterback in the league, good offensive line, great receivers, a good defense. Like, I'm like, there's no way we're not gonna win another ring. Yeah. And you find out very, very quickly how good the NFL is and how hard it is to win. Wow. That whole New England Tom Brady thing, I don't know that'll ever happen again. I mean, that's just out of this world. You got the best coach in the world, the best quarterback in the world, and the best owner in the world all colliding at the same time. Like, I don't think that's ever going to happen again. It's so hard to win in the NFL because of the salary cap, because of the draft, and because of free agency. It's just so hard. But yeah, I mean, I was 24 years old, just won a Super Bowl, got a new contract, and I'm thinking, God, I'm going to win 3 more rings like easily, and end up only playing in one more NFC Championship. But a lot of guys play 15 years and don't even have a chance at winning a ring. So I was so blessed to be able to get one so early on in my career.
Wow. All right, some guy, toughest guy you had to block. I mean, somebody you just couldn't handle. He owned you. You couldn't ever, whatever you tried on him, he'd get through, or he was just a bitch to block.
There's a couple guys. I didn't give up a whole lot of sacks in my career, but this one guy, Tommy Harris, he was a D tackle for the Bears. I always played really good against him, but for some reason I gave up 3 sacks to him on 3 different teams. One with the Bears, one with the Colts, and I think the last one was the Chargers. And I mean, I probably gave up 10 sacks in my whole career, and 3 of them were to this guy. But the hardest guy that I went against was Dominican Sue. We just absolutely battled it out. We hated the Lions. The Lions hated us. They had a very, very talented defensive line group, a great defensive coordinator, and we just had some absolute battles. But playing him in Detroit on their turf was probably the toughest battles that I had.
Hey, what's Aaron Rodgers like? I know he's a little bit different. I know he's unique, Hall of Famer, but he likes to keep it real. What's he like? You spent a lot of time with him.
Aaron is probably one of the best teammates I've ever had. There's always talk about guys, especially high profile guys like that. If anything is talked about, it gets blown up. But he was probably one of the best teammates that I ever had. Cared about his O-line, cared about all of his teammates, wanted to make sure everybody knew what the hell they were doing, not just for the play, but so that guy knew what the hell he was doing, so he had the best chance. He was at O-line dinner with us every Thursday for, I forget when he started coming with us, maybe second year. For 7 years. He was at every O-line dinner every Thursday.
Oh, wow.
So he was a great teammate. The only knock I've got on him is that he bought the guys 4-wheelers the year after I left. So I was pretty pissed about that.
Oh my gosh! Now you own Bear General Contractors. Bear has a big meaning in my life. Of course, my college coach, but one of my best friends in high school, our middle linebacker, who was tougher than nails. His name Mark Berryhill. His nickname is Bear too. How did you come up with Bear Construction?
So I get asked that all the time. Was it because you played for the Bears. We actually had a dog named Bear that had nothing to do with anything. When I met my wife, that was the dog she had, and that was his name. But my business partner and best friend from Catholic, who played defensive line, his last name is Joe Bear, Chris Joe Bear.
Yeah.
And him and his wife were going back and forth on what to name the company for probably months in a row, and that's what they ended up coming up with. And his name is spelled Jaubert,
Yeah.
but I don't think people would have known what BERT was. So they did Bear GC.
That's a great name, man. I love that name. Anyway, it's close to my heart. Hobbs, you got a question for him?
Yeah. Thank you for being on the show today. And I see you riding around in East Hill every once in a while on the golf cart with the kids and everything. And it's great to see that that a family, the young families coming back to East Hill over there. On the contracting thing there, I just left Superior Granite, and you know anybody that does good granite work?
Yeah, we got a few subs out there. Superior, they've done some work for us, and we got a handful of others. But yeah, my brother actually uses Superior all the time.
Okay, Miss Indy, I want to give a shout out to her over there.
Oh gosh, Josh, you'll have to catch some of my old episodes, and we got a lot of O'Leary stories on there, and we got more coming up here in the next few months, so you'll have to stay tuned. What's your advice for a young high school player coming out of high school now, going into college? What would your best advice be? Get them just bear down and don't quit when it comes in at your head for 100 times like it did ours.
Yeah, don't get trapped in the all the hoopla, the social media, and I feel like these kids are treated like all-stars from the time they're 12, 13 years old, and because of social media and all the attention they get, I'd say don't get trapped in that. And anytime you want to quit, don't just talk yourself out of it, because I trust me, there was 100 times I wanted to quit, and I'm sure as hell glad I didn't.
Oh, me too, man. I remember going up. It was a Yankee walk on, and oh my gosh, we had to go up against, D line, and it was not pretty, man. My helmet over there, my chin strap over there, my mouthpiece over there. You had to question, your own sanity, and I think you had to be a little bit crazy, and
sure.
That's okay. It's okay to be a little bit crazy. Hey, thanks for joining the show, Josh, man. What a blast.
Thank you.
Absolutely. That was great. Thank you, guys. Thanks for having me.
Thanks. I talked to Coach O'Leary a lot, so tell him, hey, did he go to your induction into the Central Florida Hall of Fame?
Yeah, he went to that, and he went to the Packer Hall of Fame induction.
Oh, did he really?
Yeah, it was awesome.
Oh, my gosh, man. Is he getting around okay? He had those knee.
Yeah, he looked good. He looked really good, surprisingly. Yeah.
Yeah, I talked to him a lot. I'll tell him about the show.
Awesome.
All right, brother. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Josh. See you, bud. Man, that was unbelievable.
Yeah.
He's such a great dude. Man, yeah, I remember him taking off and going to see George down in Central Florida, and
right.
I said, man, he'll be back real quick, or he's going to turn into a star. And like 50% of the guys left. It was the same thing with Coach Bryant. You have to drift through the riffraff in practice. You can't slack up on discipline, because then the other kids will become undisciplined. And you have to test them in practice. You don't want to test them in the game.
Right.
It's too late to test them in the game. So you got to give them little gut checks. You got to give them a little bit of a dose of reality and hard work.
I imagine you guys are going through that over in Shantytown right now.
We're going through exactly that in PHS right now.
And I bet you guys turn the corner.
We made a big jump. It's a lot of fun, man. I can't wait. What a challenge. But yeah, we've already made some strides. So we'll stay tuned on that front. But it was great having them. Thanks for joining. And everybody have a great sports weekend. Everybody stay tuned for these important messages. Without these great sponsors, this show just wouldn't be possible. Thanks for joining.
That's you trying to fix the plumbing yourself to save a few bucks. Doing things yourself doesn't always end well. The same goes for insurance. That's why Auto Owners works with local independent agents who tailor coverage to meet your needs and offer discounts for life, home, car, and business insurance. Because sometimes you need a professional to get the job done right. That's simple human sense.
There's a reason why Hill Kelly in Pensacola is the #1 selling Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram dealer between Jacksonville and New Orleans. While other dealers have taken advantage of a competitive market with higher prices, Hill Kelly has discounted prices to the lowest of the year. And Hill Kelly in Pensacola won't surprise you with excessive charges beyond the selling price. Come see why people from Milton, Pace, Foley, Bay Minette, Daphne, Gulf Shores, Mobile, and beyond are driving to Hill Kelly in Pensacola to buy their next new Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, or Ram. At Hill Kelly, the bottom line price and your satisfaction are what really matter. So before you sign, check the bottom line and make the trip to Hill Kelly in Pensacola to see what true local ownership can do for you. At Hill Kelly Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram, Highway 29 in Car City, Pensacola. Or shop online 24/7 at hillkellydodge.com. When it comes to bottom line pricing, nobody beats a Hill Kelly deal. Nobody.
So hard to get you in the perfect car. Looking for a better car buying experience? With a Step 1 Advantage from Buick GMC, Fort Walton Beach, and Pensacola, receive no-hassle market-based pricing or incentives by pre-ordering. Looking to sell or trade? Our dedicated team will even come to you. Plus, every vehicle sold at Step 1 supports local charities right in your neighborhood. Experience the Step 1 Advantage at Buick GMC, Fort Walton Beach, and Pensacola today.
Did you know there's a place where you can get good neighbor service and surprisingly great rates on your home and auto insurance? Yep, and that place is, ta-da, State Farm. Here's the deal. State Farm agent Will Rentschler is your go-to agent in Pensacola, Florida for the service you deserve at the price that you want. So stop shopping around. State Farm agent Will Rentschler has you covered. Call 850-433-4678 for your surprisingly great rates today. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. Legal disclaimer, individual premiums will vary by customer. All applicants subject to State Farm underwriting requirements.
Barnes Heating and Air is a proud sponsor of Alabama football, serving the entire Pensacola community for over 50 years. Barnes Heating and Air is passionate about providing customers with world-class air conditioning and heating repairs, sales, and installation. Barnes Heating and Air is family-owned, insured, and committed to quality. For a free estimate, call 478-0141. Barnes Heating and Air is #1 in customer service with service calls 7 days a week. Call Barnes Heating and Air, 478-0141, and roll Tide.
75 years of service in high-tech today. It's Pensacola Glass Company at 433-8348. High-tech is a term often applied to advanced services and products in today's marketplace. And today, glass is much more than a simple painted brittle, see-through stuff we hit baseballs through when we were kids. Glass is now a product with unique flexibility in both performance and application. And Pensacola Glass Company is growing right along. That's Pensacola Glass Company at 433-8348. 75 years of service in high-tech today. It's Pensacola Glass Company at 433-8348. High-tech is a term often applied to advanced services and products in today's marketplace. And today, glass is much more than a simple painted brittle, see-through stuff we hit baseballs through when we were kids. Glass is now a product with unique flexibility in both performance and application. And Pensacola Glass Company is growing right along. That's Pensacola Glass Company at 433-8348.